Hi there, it's Chris here with selfmadenewbie.com. Welcome to this Webinarloop review. Now, for those of you who are considering using webinars in order to promote a product, or you're an affiliate, this is definitely going to be for you. What you're going to be able to do with Webinarloop is create live webinars, automated webinars, lots of different templates, lots of integrations, call to actions, sign up forms within the webinars, a whole lot of really great stuff. Also initially coming out at a one-time price, which is very good because usually webinar software, especially as good as this, usually comes out on a monthly kind of fee. So today we're going to take a deep dive into Webinarloop, and as well as that, I've also thrown together a bundle of extra tools that I think are going to go hand in hand with Webinarloop so that you absolutely cannot fail with it. So before we get into it, drop a like on this video, hit subscribe and turn on that little bell if you want to be updated with new products coming out all the time that are going to help you to succeed online. Also, if at any moment you want to jump ahead during this video, make sure you first click the link in the description. What that will do is take you through to my bonus page, which looks like this. And the way this page works is it is integrated with the official Webinarloop sales page. So what that means is if you click on any of these green buttons, it will lock in this bonus bundle before then sending you off to the Webinarloop sales page. And if you do decide to purchase it, you're not only going to get that, but you're going to get so much more. All of these extras thrown in a big bundle that you can access immediately. So the first bonus is for you beginners out there, for anyone who is not making money online yet. I found that people who have come to me and asked questions, one of the major problems that people have with not succeeding is not taking that first step properly, okay? And then a kind of a snowball effect happens where everything after that wrong first step kind of just, veers off in the wrong direction. So this is going to teach you, if you're a beginner to making money online, or if you're not a beginner but you're not making money, this is about finding your niche. This is about asking yourself the right questions so that you can take that first step properly, take that first step in the most competitive way that you personally are able to do. And then anything you build from that is going to have much more of a chance of succeeding. Bonus number 2 kind of builds on that. If you're starting out with an online business, or if you are trying different tools or trying, different things, but you haven't found success yet, this is my premium training that enables you to build like a staple website, a website that you can later use, to make money, whether that's through digital product selling, affiliate marketing, e-commerce. This goes into basically how to create a blog that, has the potential to generate revenue, and I show you exactly how to do it. And you see people making lots of money on different blogs out there. They set up different blogs in different niches, and they're able to make money very quickly. And this goes into all that as well, like how do you actually do that? What are the steps that you need? Bonus number 3 is elite growth hacking and traffic secrets. So this is really, I created this really because I know that one of the biggest hurdles and milestones people have, whether you're creating a business online, whether you're trying to get people to your webinar with Webinarloop, is just because you build something, it doesn't mean people are just going to know about it and show up and give you their money, basically. So this goes into a lot of traffic hacks, whether it's from social media, whether it's using little tactics that I've learned about, that I've been coached on and paid for coaching on. However you can get traffic, how people get traffic, how to scale, growth hacking secrets, all that good stuff is in here to help you with a product like Webinarloop, or with really anything you do, because traffic is one of the biggest hurdles that people face. Bonus number 4 I've thrown in there is expert copywriting and persuasion course that I created. Now, if you're doing Webinarloop, if you're doing webinars, so not only is copywriting really just going into written media on sales pages and emails and things like that, or on your webinar page, whether it comes to call to actions or titles or anything like that, it's also going to come down to when you are talking on the webinar, things you need to think about, cognitive biases you need to hit on. Basically what copy is it is speaking and it is writing in a way that establishes yourself as the cure to pain points that people have in whatever market you are in. So being able to communicate in that frame, whether it's on the webinar on camera, or whether it's on the copy, or in any way that you're using a form of media, video or otherwise, or text, to communicate with your audience, it's important to know a little bit of copy, which is why I threw this in there. Bonus number 5 builds on that. So build and grow a profitable email list. So eventually when you start making sales, you're going to start gathering emails. This goes into not only how to set yourself up to build an email list, but also how to then later manage, grow, nurture build trust, and ultimately make money from that list. As well as my personal bonuses, the vendor is throwing in a couple bonuses here. So if you pause your screen, WordPress copy sites, we've got Pinger Jeet, little descriptions on the side here, Tube Inspector, Social Media Genie, Auto Articles Wizard, List Mail, Keywords Goldmine, and yeah, so half a dozen bonuses there thrown in along with my bonuses as well. So if that all sounds good to you, step one, link in the description, go to this page, lock in all of these tools with these green buttons. That will send you off to the Webinarloop sales page, which looks like this. Go through this in your own time, look at testimonials, functions, features, all that good stuff. Make a more informed decision. If you do decide to purchase, you'll be sent a digital receipt which looks like this, and under the green button will be Webinarloop, and under the blue button all the bonuses I just talked about. Okay, but keep your eye on this countdown timer because this is all a launch week special. One of the changes that is going to happen for the late buyers is that it will become a monthly reoccurring product. So if you want a one-time webinar product, you know, and a bunch of extra tools there that are going to help you a lot, you know, make a more informed decision. But the sooner you get in, the way more you're going to get for the lower price. So without further ado, let's dive into Webinarloop. Let's see what it's all about.
Alright, so this is the dashboard, and this is where you will see a rich set of analytics for your webinars when you actually run them. I've got a very little dummy data here, but you can see that you will get a registrant count on day by day. You will get an attendee count, so you will know which webinar is doing better, which webinar is not doing as good. You will see a total number of webinars. You will see total unique registrants and attendees. And you will see some extra information too, like the number of registrants per webinar, and all of your webinars will be listed. And you can also see all the webinars on which you are a presenter, because Webinarloop supports multiple presenters per webinar. Now to create a webinar, we go into the webinar section and you will see a list of all your webinars. So these are the two webinars that I have. I'm gonna work with one of them. You've got some options, like you can modify the webinar, you can copy the registration URL. So if you quickly need to give it to somebody, you can copy it. You can join the webinar room. This is the place where you actually broadcast your webinar from. This one is set up as a live webinar, so you've got a broadcasting room there. And if you want to see the experience of the viewers, of the attendees, you can join the attendee room too, and you can see how the webinar will look to them. Finally, you can clone the webinar. This is a feature only inside Webinarloop. You can clone a webinar so that you don't have to start from scratch. And you can also transport the webinar or share it with any of your associates. So if you're running a webinar and you are working a deal with an associate to run a webinar for them, or to run your webinar for them, and they're not comfortable with giving you all their leads, they're not comfortable with sharing the leads with you, what you can do is you can transport the webinar to their Webinarloop account, and they can import their attendees, they can run the webinar to them, and you will definitely not have to do any work like set up the webinar or, you know, reset it from scratch. All of that work is not required. And of course, you can delete the webinar here. Let's take a look at some of the features. Let's take a look at the webinar setup first. So here is the webinar setup. You can pick a subdomain for it. So it will be like jeetspecial.webinarloop.in, and you can pick a title for the webinar. You can pick a description. You can select what language the webinar is in. You can select the webinar type. Is it a live webinar? Is it a scheduled webinar? Or is it an on-demand webinar? And of course, you can enable or disable. And you can choose the logo. The logo will be displayed to people when they sign up in the emails and all the other places where they come to log into the webinar. It will be a part of your subdomain, so it's important that you use a proper webinar logo. Here of course you see my photograph. On the left side you can see all the different sections inside the webinar that you can set up. Some of them are optional, some of them are required, and all the sections that you're set up will be of green color, and the black colored sections are the sections that you haven't set up yet, and you can set up these sections anytime you want. Webinarloop has a ready button which tells you what you need to do to make the webinar live. So here are the sections which are actually required: the details, the videos that you want to work with if it's a pre-recorded webinar, the schedule of the webinar, the presenters, and the layout. So once all these basic things are done, webinar is ready to go live. And in this case, it will actually tell you, whenever you click on the ready button, it will tell you what exactly is left. So you can just go on and do this, but you can just click on the option that you want to work on the sidebar and set it up, and you will find that the green light will go on and it will be ready for broadcast. Now in YT Live, you can actually put in the link or the details of the YouTube live video that you're going to work with. So here you can see I've got the video URL, I've got the stream key, and I've got the stream URL. So these three things will be utilized by Webinarloop when you schedule a live webinar, when you schedule a live camera webinar, because Webinarloop internally uses YouTube Live to broadcast it, and that's why Webinarloop can broadcast to thousands of people without any issues. The next is the schedule. You can add a schedule for when you want to run the webinar. So you can select a date. You can either run it in a recurring manner, just select every and select what is the time gap you want to run it on. You can select the date and the time when you want to start it. You can select the time zone too and click on add, and the schedule will be added, and you will be able to run either a one-time webinar or a recurring webinar. Even if it's live or even if it's automated, it doesn't matter. In the presenter screen, you can select who is going to present the webinar, and you can add multiple presenters. So if you want to add another email, just click on the email box and fill in the email and then click on add presenter. The presenter will receive an email and they'll be able to add themselves to the webinar, and when the webinar goes live, they will be on the webinar. And in the layout section, you can select what layout you want to choose for the pages, for the landing page and the player page that you are going to use. So for the registration template, we have a number of options. Click on select and customize, and you will see a number of ready-made registration templates. You can take up any of them, click on customize, and you will be able to modify it inside of our landing page builder. So this is a pretty powerful landing page builder, and you can see that your landing page is here. You can change any text, you can change the images, and you can customize this landing page according to your own preferences. So using this system, you can modify any landing page and you can have a custom landing page which will give your webinar the edge, which will get you maximum number of attendees. Similarly, we have multiple themes for the player templates too. You can use standard, minimalist, or professional, any one you want, and this will be the experience of the people when they attend the webinar. Usually we use the standard one, it's pretty capable. Next, we have the call to action builder. Here you can set up what call to action you want to show the users whenever you're ready. So you can select a CTA heading, you can use a timer if you want, and you can also use a button text. So if you want to have some text on the button like click here to grab your offer, you can put that here, and you can point the button to anywhere you want. It can be a PayPal button link or it can be your domain too. You can put in a link to your landing page or your offer page anywhere you want. You can send people wherever you want. And if this was an automated webinar, you would not be there to control when the CTA goes live. You can set up a time, like you can specify exactly when in the webinar you want the CTA to go live. So if you want to, for example, make it go live at the 59th minute, you can do so and select when the CTA goes live exactly, and this will help you put the CTA exactly when the webinar scarcity kicks in. If you want to set up simulated chat, you can add a name, you can add an email address for the person who's going to type in the message or who's going to say the message. You can add a custom message and you can specify exactly when you want this message to appear and click add. That way you can add complete string of messages, complete conversations, and you can have a simulated effect on the webinar when it goes live. You can also add email reminders very easily. To send your reminders, you can use a third-party service which you can add inside the settings section. You can add an SMTP and you can choose which SMTP you want to send the emails through. You can enable custom reminders and then you can specify the from name, from subject, from email. You can select when you want to send this email and type in your custom reminders. What will happen is Webinarloop will use your reminders too. It will send your reminders using your name, and customers will be motivated to attend because you can make some very strong pages in the custom reminders that you send to people. Webinarloop also has autoresponder integration, so all the leads that sign up can be sent to your autoresponders automatically. You can add an autoresponder using the autoresponder section, and whatever autoresponder you add, it will be available here, and you can select which autoresponder to send the lead to and which list to send the lead to inside the autoresponder. And in the tracking section, you will need to add your tracking code. So if you've got a Google tracking code or FB Pixel, you can add it to this box. You can just copy and paste both of them into this box. And if you've got a conversion pixel too, if you're going to run ads and you want to test the conversions, you can put in your conversion pixel in the conversion pixel box, and it works again with both Facebook and Google or any other third-party conversion system that you might have. Webinarloop also supports API-based recruitment. So if you're trying to recruit someone using an API or using a third-party app, you can do so. Or you can embed a Webinarloop form on your blog or any website you want. And that is very easy through the recruitment section. In the attendees section, you can see who are the people who are gonna attend the webinar. And finally, inside the integrations, you can find the codes to put in inside of leads to list and ads to list. These are two SaaS products which you can get to get more leads from Google and Facebook ads. And that was all about the setup of webinars in Webinarloop. Now let's take a look at the webinar room. We're in the webinar room now, and you can see that you got two steps. You got to start the call first, and then you got to start broadcasting. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to start the call, and Webinarloop will ask for permission to use your camera. And you can see me on the screen. I'm broadcasting. I'm already on the call. I haven't broadcasted yet. And to broadcast, I just need to click on Go Live, and Webinarloop will start live casting my webinar to the audience. And right now I am live casting. I can change this to my screen too, and then Webinarloop is going to ask me for permission to share my screen. And once I give it the permission, it's gonna share the screen too. And I can share my screen by clicking on what type of sharing I want to do. Is it gonna be the entire screen? Is it gonna be an application window or a Chrome tab? Whatever I want to select, I can click on it and then click on share. And now you can see that my video is changed to the screen, and I can start broadcasting it whenever I'm ready. And finally, you've got the webinar player. On the left side, you can see the presenters, the people who are presenting the call. And in the center, you can see the giant webinar screen. This is where your webinar will play. And on the right side, on the top, you will see the scarcity timer, where people will be able to see how much time they have left before they can buy. So this finishes our quick look at Webinarloop, and I tried to be as comprehensive as I could in the brief time. But actually it's got a lot more features. It's got a lot more little things that have been built to help marketers like you. This software is built by an internet marketer, and it addresses all the pain points that we have as a webinar marketer.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that demo and you're looking forward to getting your hands on Webinarloop, seeing the power of it, and seeing hopefully it can do something for your business and help you to drive traffic and help you to make money. So really quickly, before we close out the video, go through the link in the description if you want to see a little write-up here, more specifically on the pricing. So Webinarloop Elite is basically everything you saw in the video, and I will say you do only need the front end to get access to all the tools I talked about at the beginning of this video and all those bonuses. So don't feel like you need the upgrades, but everybody's different, and you can read up on the different upgrades, one-time offers and such on this page, so you can figure out which one is right for you. The next option is a Pro upgrade, which gives you a lot more functions and features. We've got the Webinarloop Agency, which allows you to sell Webinarloop or accounts to Webinarloop as your own kind of product in a way, and keep all of the profits of that. So go for that if you want to sell it on. Webinar Template Pack gives you templates if you're doing a lot of webinars, if you're maybe pitching to the same audience a lot and you just want a bit of variety in how your webinars look, you might want to go for that. And then there is a combo package with Ad List Pro and Leads to List Pro, which can incorporate with Webinarloop very well. So that's on offer too at a special price there. So, you know, figure out if that works for you as well. Everybody's different. I just don't want there to be any surprises as you go through the buying process. But yeah, if you do have any questions, drop them in the comments, hit me up on social media or email. I do reply to everybody as quick as I can. And if not, enjoy Webinarloop, take action with all those extra bonuses. Wish you the best of luck, and I'll see you next time. Take care.